Hello, fellow soul seekers. Today, I would like to ask you, have you ever wondered about your soul? What is your soul? You hear the word soul. What does that mean exactly? What part of me is my soul? Well, as a human being, our body and our brain is basically just an electrical chemical messaging machine. And your soul is something that's the energy inside of you that is always there, was there before your body came along, and will be there after your body leaves. So, how do we connect with the soul? Well, one thing is we have to be very quiet. We have to find those quiet times for ourselves. For me, I do a lot of it in the bathtub. Meditation is very useful. Your soul is that quiet voice that basically will tell you what's best for you. It will let you know when it's time to leave a relationship, when it's time to join a relationship. It'll help you know what path to take, and when it's time to leave a path. It might help you to know when you should move to a different location and when it's time to stay. Now, your mind, on the other hand, is a very useful tool. It's like a computer, but it's not your soul. It can help you write a grocery list. It can help you come up with engineering ideas, inventions. It can help you get from point A to point B. So it's a very useful tool. But at the same time, it can also trick you. And I think we've all experienced this at times where, we have been bombarded with thoughts that are negative that we could pretty much, if we think about it, know that those thoughts weren't true. Maybe especially self-defeating thoughts, or that we weren't worthy, or that somebody was meaning to hurt us. And maybe they did, but maybe they weren't really meaning to. Maybe they were dealing with their own issues. So your mind can be a very useful tool, but it can trick you. Feelings, which some people might think is your soul, is not exactly your soul. It can be. So can your mind. Your soul can show up in your feelings and in your mind, but it's not there all the time. Feelings can be a helpful guide and tool to tell you help you decide when it's time to get out of a relationship or a job, but it can also trick you. You can get up and feel bad and start thinking negative, and then create bad feelings when you could really choose to think a different way. Now, if you're feeling grateful and you're feeling love, that is coming from the soul, because essentially all the feelings that come from the soul are love-based, no fear. There's now your soul might lead you to get out of a situation that's not good for you, but it won't be a fear-based decision. It'll be a decision based on love for yourself. So you can have a feeling and it can trigger that endocrine system, that nervous system that gives the messages to your brain. And your feeling may or may not be true. Like you could have a feeling that maybe one of your friends thinks poorly of you, and that starts affecting your self-esteem. And that might not be the case. They just might be having a bad day and didn't get back to you, didn't text you back, didn't call, or didn't acknowledge something that you've done. So that's where your feelings can trick you, or that you feel like you have to stay with someone because you can't make it on your own, and you become scared. And fear is never a feeling that is helpful unless you're in a situation like a life and death situation where you're running from a bear, or something where it will start up your nervous system and pump you up with a lot of adrenaline. But today we spend a lot of time in fear that isn't necessary. And if you think about the things that we overthink or that we're afraid of, if you start literally writing those down, you'll see that most of them aren't really an issue in a few days, a few weeks, or a few months. And that we spent way too much thinking about them and feeling about them. So we have our brain that thinks our thoughts that could be useful but can trick you. We have our feelings that feels our emotions, which again can be helpful sometimes can be tricking you. And then we also have our physical feelings, which also should be acknowledged. All of it should be acknowledged, all of our thoughts and our feelings and our physical feelings. But also be assessed for, is this true? Is this my soul speaking? Or is this my mind? Because if we live our life off of what our mind tells us, we'll surely get misguided into fear or greed or low self-esteem. We do need that soul component to truly be living our highest power, to truly be being the best that we can be. And the feelings, the thoughts, and the physical feelings all trigger each other and then create our body chemistry through those neurotransmitters. So if you feel afraid of something, you're walking down the street, some guy walks up behind you, makes you feel a little scared. It's going to register in your brain, danger, danger. That's going to create a lot of adrenaline, norepinephrine, cortisol, which can show up as extra energy or just show up as like stress. And so that could be a feeling triggering everything. Or if you're just an anxious person in general, you could kind of be walking around all tensed up and bracing for the next bad thing to happen. And that will trigger your brain and that will trigger your emotions that something bad's going to happen. That is not your soul talking. That's your body that's been pre-programmed from your life experiences, just reacting in an external world. And then, of course, we have the thoughts where we can wake up and start thinking about all the things that we don't have, then which will make us feel lost and make us feel inadequate. Which then might make us physically not want to have energy. So they all are affecting each other. And so it's very important that we get in touch with our soul, which can be connected to all three, but it's something that's quiet. It's within us. It's all knowing. It's got the inner knowledge. It yearns for our purpose. And so when you can link up to your soul and understand the difference of when it's your soul telling you that's the right thing to do, or that's the way to go, or that you need to get out of this relationship or job, or get into this relationship or job, that's an art. It's a practice. I'm sure we've all done it at some point or another. I'm sure you've all had a soul experience. If you want to think about maybe looking at a sunset and feeling an awe, being in the moment, enjoying the taste of the dinner that you cooked that night, feeling good about it, feeling the sincere love from a child or a pet. Or just sometimes having that intuition. And maybe we want to call your soul your intuition because it's kind of the same thing. Sometimes maybe it did tell you to get away from something or someone. And then later on you realize that, wow, that was a good choice that I made. And that was your soul kind of letting you know this isn't good. So we will have future videos on how to connect up with your soul, how to listen to your soul. Meditation is helpful. Listening to your dreams. Your soul will show up a lot of times in your dreams and be directing you or guiding you or just processing stuff that you're not processing, which then if you're not processing it properly, it will show up as anxiety or depression. Sometimes they can be premonitional dreams. So I'm going to stop it here and let that all sink in, and we'll go from there. And I'm wishing you all a soul-inspired day where you can hear your soul and start heading into your higher purpose. Thank you.